Hello and welcome to our shared news live panel breaking down episode 9 of season 3 of the Kardashians. What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in today. As always, I'm your host, Morgan Wright, joined by Hannah. It feels wild, Hannah, that we're already at episode 9 and we get to the end of this episode and they gave us the season finale trailer. What? Were you surprised by that, or did you kind of see the end was near? I was just so caught off guard.
I was caught off guard this entire season. I did not expect for us to be at the end so quickly. I'm sad because we'll get into it, but I just feel like we didn't really get exactly what we signed up for with this season, which I'll continue to always watch the Kardashians, but I was expecting way more drama, and I feel like unless it's packed into this last episode, I don't know. I don't know. I'm shocked.
I think I feel the same sentiment. Before we get into discussing everything that happened in episode 9, if you are new here, please be sure to subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you never miss out on any of our live updates. If you want to ask a question or leave a comment or an opinion in the comment section below, we are live and we do have the ability to read those as we're in this live panel. So if you have a thought, let us know because we love to hear from our shared news family. But let's just go ahead and start with the beginning of this episode. We start with a scene. Kylie, Khloe, and Kourtney are all together and they're talking about beauty standards. So Kylie says that they have a lot of influence. What are we doing with our power? She says she went through a phase where she was heavily editing her pictures and then denied ever having any plastic surgery. Now, we knew that they were going to have this conversation because it was in the season trailer at the beginning, specifically Kylie saying, we have a lot of influence. What are we doing with our power? I don't want my daughter to have the same insecurities that I had. What do you think of them addressing beauty standards in this way? I just want to get your first reaction and then we'll kind of dive deeper into what it means coming from this particular family.
Right. So initially, like you were mentioning, when I saw the initial Kylie saying about the beauty standards and the influence and everything, I thought that was really interesting, and I was excited to see how that panned out. And then even in this season, in this scene, I appreciated the girls that were there having the conversation. I thought it was really neat, especially having Kylie kind of um, pioneer it as well, because I feel like she gets probably the most in terms of like public notoriety. I feel like it's a tie between probably her and Chloe as far as like I know getting like nose jobs and lip injections and
Mhm.
everything like that, and all the rumors that have surrounded specifically those two. So I thought it was really neat that they were taking this opportunity to kind of, recognize the fact that they realize that they have a handle on influence and the beauty industry. And I thought it was really interesting to hear like their insecurities, like Kylie talking about her ears and then how she learned to love them through Stormy. I thought it was a very like educational scene. I felt like I learned a lot more about them than I knew. So, if that's what they were looking to accomplish from a viewer's perspective, I felt very satisfied hearing them talk about this and hearing what they've been insecure with in the past. I thought that was a really interesting thing to hear. I've never heard them open up like that before, or maybe they have in the past, but I've never caught it quite like I did with this particular scene in this episode. But what did you think? What was your reaction?
The call is coming from within the house. Like, what I mean, what are you guys talking about? Okay, we'll get into it in a second. I will say one thing
Okay.
about Kylie, something to kind of go off of what you said. I have seen the narrative that Kylie was very insecure growing up, and that's why she started overlining her lips, and that's how she kind of
Mhm.
started down this road. So to hear her go in an ITM and say, I wasn't an insecure kid, like I loved myself, my family made fun of my ears, and that's what I was insecure about. I felt like she wasn't being 100% transparent just because we have heard her talk about the stuff with her lips before, how she would overline them. And then, she says in this scene, the only thing I've ever done is get fillers. Like, I mean, no offense, and not like to sit here and nitpick, but you can clearly see that she has cheek filler in right now. She has lip
Mhm.
filler in right now. And then Chloe in particular, she was saying that she had a hard time in not when she was younger because she was still like in her 30s, but being on TV. She's like, I've been nitpicked my entire life being on TV. And I just feel like they kind of created what they're saying they hate in this scene because of the societal pressure. And it's like, will the filler defense hold up? Especially we know Chloe has had
Mhm,
a nose job. I I
mhm,
I can't sit here and speculate what plastic surgery Kylie has or has not had. But I just sometimes I think that they try to make a situation lighter than it actually is, especially because they've been asked this question before. What do you think about your specific involvement on how you have changed beauty standards, honestly, throughout our country? I believe Andy Cohen asked him that. And Kim was like, I don't think that we have. I work out a lot. But I mean, I
mhm.
feel like a lot of people will disagree with that answer. I mean, do you?
I think that this is such a double-sided thing. I think in one breath, I'm all about do what makes you feel comfortable and do what makes you feel the most confident version of yourself, as long as you're not hurting yourself or holding it or hurting anybody. However, in their
Mhm.
case, for being in the public eye and for constantly electing to be relevant and to do this show and to be to the caliber that they are and to just continue to be a public staple at this point in pop culture, I feel like they should
Mhm.
just come clean and just say, this is what I've done. This is because I really like seeing those videos. I know like TikTok is really big on having people like come forward and they'll talk about like I see a lot of people that are like, oh, I went and got my lips done. This was my experience. I kind of like hearing about it, you know? So I
Mhm.
wish they, if they're not going to be fully transparent, I wish that they would open up a little bit more. And I noticed like with Kylie, I noticed that she's always saying she's like talking about what she's had done to her face. She's always specifying her face. She won't talk about anything else. So, I really wish they would
True.
just open up about it because it's like they are pretty. They're beautiful in my eyes. I think that they're all very gorgeous in their own right. Like it's not like anybody's gonna go and necessarily copy them, but like spill the tea, give us the secret. I mean, you know
Yeah.
that they've spent
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of dollars constantly to maintain and upkeep. So yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just kinda and I know they probably don't think of it, like, in these words, but to me, I was sitting there, I'm like, "Do you think I'm stupid?"
Right.
Like, it is very clear that it's not just lip filler, you guys, for the whole entire family, like, come on.
I
But on the
know.
other hand, I mean, you open up the internet at any given time, and people are commenting on how Chloe looks. So it's like, how do you
Mhm,
think that that type of pressure is going to affect somebody for 15 plus years, when they've been on TV and it's constant? It doesn't matter if she was when she was at a heavier weight or super skinny like she is now. It's like they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. But like you said, I kind of just wish that they would just be like honest and transparent about it. I don't necessarily think they ever will be, at least to the caliber that we maybe hope for them to be. But, anyways, I thought it was interesting that they had the conversation. I will say, I do think that Courtney is the most genuine when it comes to this conversation. And I feel like, I don't even know if it's an opinion really, but in my opinion, she is the most natural of the family.
I think so too. I don't see much when I look at Courtney. I see just very much like I look at her and I'm like, that's what they would look like if they didn't have the augmentations. I'm sure she might have
Right.
gotten something done. I couldn't look at her though and say, oh yeah, she's had X, Y, and Z. For the others, I could give you my assumptions if that makes sense as to what they've
Right.
had done.
All right. I feel like we could have this conversation for an hour. So we'll move on to the
Mhm.
next topic. Kim is cleaning out one of her humongous storage
Huge.
units. She's got everything in there from her old Met looks, the outfit that she wore when Prince kicked her off the stage. Like
Yeah.
she's literally going through all of her memories in that storage unit. I literally thought it looked like a Goodwill store, just racks and racks and racks of clothes all the way back. How is that not classified as being a hoarder?
I
I
know.
mean, no offense. Maybe she does consider
I
herself a
know.
little bit of a hoarder.
I guess because it's all designer, I guess it's okay if
Yeah.
it's like, it's, you know?
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
goodness.
But she's also, like, going through all of her old memories while she's in that storage unit, and we get the ITM saying that, it was the same day she's going through the storage unit the same day that her divorce was finalized from Kanye. She gets very teary-eyed in this moment, and I feel like she really does miss who Kanye was to her, and it, to me, seems like she's still having a little bit of a hard time differentiating the Kanye she knew and the Kanye that exists in her life at this current moment. What did you make of her speaking on that again for another episode?
I really thought, like you said, I think the tears and how she was feeling, I feel like that was completely authentic coming from her. I can totally understand where she's upset and mourning the loss. I mean, that's kind of one of the hardest things, you know. You think about like somebody who has, you know, some type of like altering like an Alzheimer's or God forbid like a dementia, right? It's like it's not saying that Kanye being Kanye is irreversible, but I'm saying in this case she's she's dealing with this person is still existing on the face of the earth, and this person's just 180 degrees different than what she ever knew and who she ever fell in love with, you know. So I think that's got to be extremely painful, and I tip my hat to her for even being able to be as strong as she is,
Mm,
especially with it being Kanye. I mean, think about having somebody that you like just cannot. I feel like she probably can't interject her 2 cents. She can't. I'm not saying she'd ever try to control him. You can't control Kanye. Like it's got to be so
yeah,
frustrating just wanting to reach out and just help somebody or just reach somebody and you just can't. That's got to be like
yeah.
so hard, you know? Um I feel
Yeah,
bad
especially
for
when
her.
you
I'm
have
really
4
glad that she was
children.
authentic. Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm glad that she was so authentic with us about this. I feel like I've seen a lot of Kim that's been a lot more open and real, especially this season, which I really appreciate. Not that she's never been before, but I feel like I'm learning her on a different level than I've learned her from my personal viewer experience in the past, which I really like. And I think that sadly it was through divorce, but I really love that she's used the divorce as an opportunity with that happening in tandem with the filming of the show to really open up and to show us and to talk to us about that.
Yeah, I want to skip ahead in chronological order, and we'll get back to all of the other things here in a little bit. But later in
Mhm.
the episode, Kim sits down with Kendall and Kylie and is also having a
Mhm.
conversation about Kanye. And Kendall, says, I don't know how she has handled everything with her ex husband. And I feel like you and I, even on these panels, have been vocal about how we don't see a lot from Kendall and Kylie. I feel like
Mhm.
this is the deepest conversation that we've seen them have, and one thing that really stuck out to me is, yes, they were talking about Kanye at the beginning, but then Kendall says to both of them, to Kylie and Kim, I think people on the internet forget that we're just having a human experience. And she looks at Kylie and like rubs her arm, and Kylie looks at her, and it's like a sad moment. And I didn't look
Mhm.
up the timeline, but I was thinking maybe this was around the time of her and Travis's split, or maybe there was some trouble in paradise on that front. Did that moment stick out to you as well, or was it just me?
No, I was thinking about the same thing because if you think of the timeline, it's gotta be close. And I
Hmm.
mean, even think about this, like, even for us knowing on a public perspective, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. There might have been things going on for them for months before we really found out that these 2 were Splitsville, um, and whatnot. So I caught on to that though too, and I really liked what Kendall said. Um I don't know. Like you said, I think that this is the most that we've gotten out of them. Like, I'm always begging for more screen time from these 2. Will I ever get it?
Hmm.
Probably not. But I really love that like the depth was there. I can handle the lack of screen time in exchange for the depth. And I feel like that's what we got with this. And I really enjoyed that in this particular part of the episode.
Yeah, and just, I guess, trying to piece the puzzle together, in the promo
Hmm.
for the season finale, Chris is Christmas shopping. She's looking at all those big houses. So is that around the
That's
same
right.
time? I I know sometimes also they air things out of order, particularly last
Mhm.
season when we went through everything with Chloe and Tristan. So it's hard to tell like when these things actually happened. But we we do see also Kim reference her last relationship. So it appears that she had been broken up with Pete at this point, and she says that she jumped into a relationship. Now she doesn't ever say
Mhm.
Pete by name, but what did you make of her coming out and saying that as well?
I thought it was Pete for sure because I think that her saying jumping into a relationship, she went to Pete pretty quickly after Kanye. And then also, I mean, just again with the timeline and everything like that, it makes total sense. So I was assuming that she was referring to Pete in that particular part. Definitely.
Yeah, and considering how public they were, from the very beginning,
Very.
the relationship
Mhm.
was definitely more, fun and lighthearted. And, he's on SNL and she just needs to let her
Mhm.
hair down because she's been with Kanye for so long. So I definitely think that they were talking about him too, a little tea there. Um,
Tea.
there was some other, like, little things that we're gonna get into when it comes to, like, People's Choice Awards and Vanity Fair, but I just wanna hit the big things first, because at the end, we do get this sister combo that we were kinda hyping up last week. We were like, "Oh, is this gonna be another fake out? Are they really gonna be dramatic?" We were looking forward to it, and it is a second talk between, primarily Courtney and Kim. Chloe being the mediator. And Courtney comes out and says that she just doesn't want her feelings to be overlooked. She doesn't want to be overlooked. They talk about Kim's drive and her competitive in life in general. Do you think that this chat was more beneficial than the first one for them?
This chat made me crack up. I'm not gonna lie. Like, first of all, everybody walked in and they're like, they're I love that there's 2 in gray, I love the one in black, the way that they're sitting, it's just like I'm like, "These girls look like they are just gonna go take a matching gym class," first of all. Second of all second of all, I was just like, "What the heck is this conversation?" I love that Chloe was there as, like, the mediator/translator slash translator in case Courtney got tongue-tied, I thought that was great. Um, the fact that Courtney took notes, I'm just like, I love that she took notes. I
Yep,
love Courtney, don't get me wrong. I love that she
I
took
do too.
notes, but I was just like, what the heck was the point of this conversation? I feel like the producers or even the girls were just like, we need something else to go in here. Like I didn't see the need for it. I felt like they were so past it. And I feel like they're too mature at this point, I think, in their relationship with one another. I think the initial conversation was good enough. I understand Courtney wanting to like express the emotional side of things, like you were saying. I think that that's really good. But I think to call the meeting and to have everybody load into the bed and hair and makeup and everything, like I think that was just too far for this particular. I think we're past it at this point.
Yeah.
But I love them, and I'm just glad that I'm glad that it was civil. I'm really glad to see Courtney and Kim really being able to actually like kind of just talk through their stuff at this point.
Yeah.
I think they've
I
come a
mean,
long
it
way.
just it was so hyped up. I mean, even,
It was
like,
so
when
hyped.
you consider so long ago, even Dumois items, these K sisters aren't speaking to each other, and then you get the
Mhm,
season trailer, and it's like, "Well, fine, we don't have to speak," and Courtney and her narrative, it really seemed like, especially when you put it into context, that these 2 at one point fist fought each other on camera.
yes.
Like, we were really expecting this to be a big feud, and it just felt like a major letdown. It's like at the end of the day, it all boils down to the fact that Courtney wants things for herself, without being overshadowed by a family member, which I think, even like they said, Courtney can't really express how she's feeling. If you want to put it like just as blunt as humanly possible, I think Courtney was feeling like, "Kim, why do you always have to have the spotlight?" You know what I mean? Because she's,
Mhm,
like, talking about what drives you? What is this competitiveness? Why do you always have to do these things? And when you put it into the context of the Dolce& and Gabbana situation, this was Courtney's wedding, like, her one moment in the
mhm,
sun to shine and be on her own, and, this is Courtney's wedding. And then however many months later, Kim is walking in the fashion show for Dolce& and Gabbana. Courtney says the looks look like it doesn't matter if they do or if they don't. If I'm Courtney, I'm thinking my sister cannot let me have one moment without her needing to up the ante or whatever. I don't know
mhm.
why Courtney just wouldn't say that. I feel like that's what this is really about.
I agree. I feel like with this whole feud overall, it's two ways. It's either she is way more upset than she even wants to. She just doesn't even want to go there because she's in La La Land, she's in Lemmy Land, she's in Travis Land, she's doing her own thing. Or it is not that big of a deal, and they just had absolutely nothing else to
Yeah.
fight. And it's one
True.
of those two, and I just genuinely couldn't tell you. I think it's the second one more so than anything, but it could
Mhm.
even be a mixture of the two. I don't know. These two.
Yeah, I don't know, manufactured drama. I mean, we even
Mhm.
have the 3 smaller moments of the episode, the Vanity Fair lie detector test, which I feel like we've already seen everything. We saw everything in that moment, when the Vanity Fair article came out. The People's Choice Awards, I thought was interesting to at least see the behind the scenes because we were all like, "What is happening?" Chloe looks a little bit disheveled. I mean, she's still beautiful, but, like, what can you do? It was what it was. And then
It's
the
great.
push poolside event. Was there one thing that maybe surprised you from any of these 3 smaller scenes that they put in this episode?
Well, like you said with the People's Choice, I was really, really, I was glad to get some clarity on that because I remember seeing
Yeah.
clips and I was like, I feel like something's off. But I'm also like,
Yeah.
this family's hilarious and I love the fact that they're just letting it be what it is. So I'm glad that we got some clarity on that. And also, I just thought that the Poosh event was really, really cute. I just wanted to go. I felt like my invite got lost in the mail. I don't know. I just wanted to go, Morgan. It looked really cute.
I
It was
know,
really sweet.
especially when you see that they, invite influencers. I'm like, I don't know if I'd
Yes,
be invited with how outspoken I am about the Kardashian family. Like, if they saw this video, I probably wouldn't be invited. Although I am always on Courtney's side historically, so maybe I would be invited to the Poosh event. But like,
for
if
Poosh,
Skims
yeah,
has an event,
yeah.
I'm not getting invited. I already know I'm not. But anyways, to kind of wrap up today's live, don't forget if you want to leave any questions, any comments, any opinions, we can take those at the end if there's enough time. But we do want to get into a little recap of the final trailer. The last episode of the season is happening next week, and we got the season finale trailer. So let's take a look and break this down clip by clip.
Next on the Kardashians season finale.
Oh, they're so cute.
I have this amazing vision.
Okay, just Chris looking at are those
Chris is looking at her
gingerbread
house.
houses? Yeah.
They are
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
extra. I love it. I
In
mean, look at those
every
houses.
facet.
They're great. I wouldn't even have room. I
Yeah,
have like a bunch of the little tiny ones that I could put like on
right,
my like a mantle or something. Like this woman, I'll
right.
rent one. Chris, what are you doing? I love it. I
But
love it.
she's not impressed because she hates the interior in the next clip. Let's just go ahead and watch the next one.
I can't. You're not wrong. That's right.
In my head.
The toys are perfect.
The perfect gift to give my kids. The inside of the houses, however,
This is a little messy. Yeah, this I don't like either.
okay.
This is horrible.
I mean, it's
What
like,
does she want?
is it first world problems or is it Kardashian Jenner problems? Like those are
Oh
even
my
on two
gosh.
different levels at this point.
What the heck does she mean the interior? That desk is
It must be the
just as nice as the one
wallpaper.
that I work at that came from West Elm. It's fine. That is
Oh,
hilarious.
Chris, she's got expensive taste. Let's watch the next
I
clip.
love it.
Horrible.
We're getting like a ton of backlash. A lot of it fell on me. Boohoo approached me about being their sustainability ambassador. This is not like one person's.
Okay, see, this is the exact reason that I am currently in my Courtney Stan era. She had a
Mhm.
bit of a controversy with Boohoo. She was promoting it being their sustainability ambassador, and people are like, it's fast fashion. The two cannot coexist. Instead of just brushing it under the rug like some of her other sisters are doing, and I don't even have to talk about it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. She's addressing it head on. You can tell that they're going to take some time in this next episode to really dedicate that to it. She's having team meetings. I mean, what do you make of this?
When I saw this, I immediately thought about Balenciaga because I was like, I want to know
Yeah.
what's going on with that too. And I was like, and when I saw this part, I was like, oh, maybe they're gonna just double header, take care
Slide
of it
it
all at
in.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't see anything, and I was like, "Well, I hope that's one of the things that they forgot to put in the trailer." But I love that she's taking this and that she's addressing it. I think it's great, and I mean, I completely forgot about this, to be honest with you, because of just so many other things that have come up in the Card Jenner world. So the fact that she's taking this and addressing it and everything like that, that's accountability right there. And at the end of the day, being in the public eye and being a viewer of the person in the public eye, the only thing that I can expect is somebody to take accountability and to try and implement whatever they need necessary to move forward, you know? And I love
Yeah.
that she's doing that.
And at least tell your side of the story, because people are still gonna
Exactly.
watch this. Bringing this back up, people are still gonna be pissed at Kourtney. Like, there are people out there that are gonna
Right.
be, on the hater train, whatever. The same thing would happen to Kim with Balenciaga. I
Mhm.
feel like the one thing that maybe holds Kim back, or maybe 2 things, is the seriousness of what happened with
Right.
Balenciaga. This stuff with Boohoo and what happened with Balenciaga, I think, are on 2 little bit of different scales when it comes to, I mean,
Totally.
they're both important, don't get
Mhm.
me wrong, but obviously, without going into too many details about it, that and what Kim's working relationship with Balenciaga is currently and what it will be in the future. So maybe it's something that she's like, I don't want to drum this all back up, in case there's going to be a deal somewhere down the line and we don't get it because, I brought this back up on the show. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. Totally. No, I agree with you, and like you said, yes, it was 2 sisters that went through something with some clothing companies, but it was very different in their own right, in terms of, like, the severity of it too. So
Right.
I love that they're using at least they're talking about one of them, I will say that. Um, I really I really like the fact that they are utilizing the opportunity for Courtney to kind of show her side. That's why I wish that they would talk about the Kim situation, but there may straight up just
Yeah.
be legal things that Kim just can't talk about it. It's better off to just avoid the whole thing. We don't know that side, and that's what people aren't
Yeah.
gonna necessarily immediately think about. They're just gonna say, "Where is it?" Oh, they're not gonna
Right.
think a
Right.
little bit deeper there sometimes.
Yeah. And this is a good example of how sometimes the Kardashians put things out of order in this show, because Kourtney's
Mhm.
Boohoo scandal was in September of 2022. And then you have Chris picking out Christmas presents. I mean, I
The
don't know. Does
Christmas.
Chris go
Ah,
shopping in
yeah.
September? Who knows? Like, sometimes my mom will go Christmas shopping on Amazon Prime Day in, July. So who
Exactly.
knows? But
Yeah.
let's go ahead and watch our next clip.
Problem. I've officially started the process of changing my son's name. So I'm going to do. I never called him Wolf, ever. Like, it wasn't even on the list.
Okay, I don't know, one, how you can sign a birth certificate saying that your son's name is Wolf if it wasn't on your short list of baby names. And again, this just feels kind of like a weird timeline thing where they're saving, what they think is going to be the most dramatic stuff for the very last episode. But at this point, are we so over this Wolf name drama?
I don't know why they can't just go with, like, Steve as a name. That's where I'm at. I'm just like I get that they wanna have, like, super unique names. I get it. But Wolf in general, I was just like, "What?" And then just the fact that all of the I'm sorry, but just the fact that all of the drama and everything like that's going on, it's not I wanna say I don't care, but I care about other things
It's
that are going
okay.
on in their lives as
You can
opposed
say
to
you don't care,
that, you know?
because I don't care about this. Like, we don't.
I don't
We
care.
don't. We know the baby's name is Air now, like, we don't need to see 15 minutes of, like, I don't know. I guess the one thing I will be interested to see is, like, she said it wasn't even on the list. So how did it get from the list to the birth certificate? That's not gonna take
That's what
15
I'm
minutes, which
wondering.
is, like, probably what they'll spend on it, but I don't know. At least we'll get some answers.
Yeah, I'm excited to at least learn about it because I never knew that this was going on until way after it happened anyway. I think I was late to the
Mhm.
party to even find out that there was another baby. So, I mean, I was just late to the party with the second kid altogether through the timeline.
Right, right,
But
right.
but I'm glad that she's got it all situated now. And yeah, I'm curious to learn more about how that wasn't on the list of names and then that became the baby's name.
The name.
So
Yeah,
the name, yeah,
absolutely.
and
Okay, I
then
think we have
yeah.
2 more clips to get to, so let's move on.
Three, four, left.
It's been a rough week.
This was just a really, really shocking way to start the
Okay, also in this moment, what did you think?
I was just like, "What the heck is going on?" I felt like this was really cryptic, and I didn't see quite this coming in terms of the lineup of the trailer. I
Mhm.
don't know, what was your immediate reaction when you saw this?
I honestly thought that that's when they were gonna talk about Balenciaga. I don't remember, I feel like it was in January or something, because Chris is, like, crying. I
Mhm.
didn't really get, like, the plain reference, maybe Kim was just trying to, like, get away. This was all in my head, like,
Yeah.
Kim's trying to get away for the weekend, like, something happened, and then, Kim is like, "None of us expected this," which I thought could maybe be something like that, but I guess, the plane in context of what we know now, the family did fly to Tristan's mom's funeral, which maybe is where
Mhm.
they got this footage from that they just included, which will just lead us into this final clip about Tristan.
Mhm.
new year.
All of a sudden, you're stripped of the caretaker that you had your whole life.
He was just like screaming on the phone, trying to tell me that she's gone.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to
Yeah.
be an emotional episode.
His mom.
Chris is really going through it. I believe that they did have I don't know how close, but Tristan's mom was, like, there when Khloe announced that they were having a baby, and we've seen Tristan's mom on the show at family events. Um, it's really sad. I mean, I know that we all have very strong opinions about Tristan, especially since we've been watching the show from the beginning. And at the end of the day, we do want Chloe to be happy, and the way that he's treated her in the past has not been great. But
Mhm.
also, if you watch this family from the beginning, you know that they protect each other. And, once you're family, whether it's Scott, whether it's Tristan or whoever. So what's your opinion on this final clip?
I, um when I put 2 and 2 together and figured out that it was about Tristan's mom, I love the fact that they are so supportive. I think that that is such a good trait that the Kardashians have, like, just displayed to everybody. I love how close they are and how close-knit. Like you said, despite how people have been treated. Um, the biggest thing that I'm kind of curious is, like, why is Tristan getting the finale though? You know what I mean?
Mm,
That's kind of the
mhm.
interesting part with having him because we really haven't seen him at all this season. We've heard about him. We haven't really seen him. And then it's just like I'm wondering what it is that's making even I'm not saying that this doesn't deserve to be an episode, but I'm wondering why the finale. That's kind of the biggest thing that I'm thinking about. And from a viewer's perspective, I'm just kind of like there just must be a lot going on in this last episode, I'm guessing. But
Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. I mean, historically speaking, they probably want to save some of the most dramatic stuff for the very end. And like you said,
Mhm.
this was a major moment. Nobody was expecting this. Um, but I don't know. Yeah, it is just strange. It's just strange to me that, and I know we hound this point to death, but we all lived through that Balenciaga scandal. Like, we all know that it happened. And Kim,
Yes.
whether she wanted to be or not, was in the middle of it because of how closely connected she was to the brand at the time. So I feel like to say nothing at all about it, even if they come out and say we can't say anything because of legal reasons. And it's like Kim in a confessional, just like we see Chloe right now, and she's crying saying,
Right.
"I don't know what to do because I'm gonna be canceled if I do say something, I'm gonna be canceled if I don't say something. There's legal stuff involved, so I'm sorry, this is where I have to leave it." I would respect that more than nothing at all.
Me too. I feel like you're just tap dancing around a huge elephant in the room. And
Mhm.
I just kind of even going back to like with this being the finale, what I think is super interesting is the fact that like the person who is not a Kardashian who has not historically been very great to Khloe, he's getting his a good chunk of an episode, and he's getting the finale. And it's I'm not dismissing the
Mhm.
passing of the mother. That's not what I'm saying. Um, I just think that it's just interesting. I think, like you said, I mean, Valencia, there's more to pull from, So
Yeah,
either add another episode or let this be something that Tristan goes through with the Kardashians in private. No need to roll cameras on this. We know about this. Let's roll cameras on the Balenciaga. Or, like you said, just do a confessional and just say, hey, I can't talk about it for legal reasons. At least it just kind of puts everything to bed, because I feel like half
yeah,
of the reason, I mean, obviously I'm watching the entire season for this, but like, and because I do watch the show, but half of the reason why I was watching the show is because I wanted to know about it. I was ready for
yeah,
Balenciaga and Dolce& and Gabbana, and I was let down in both. So, I'm
yeah.
just like, "Dang it."
And it's just
But
an interesting, like, paradigm to look through it at the lens of, okay, if you're a producer, let's save this moment for the very last thing that people are going to see that puts the Kardashian family in a very good light, right? They're supporting
mhm,
Tristan regardless of his past. They're there for him. He's going through a hard time. People are going to sympathize with that, as anyone with a heart and emotions would sympathize with somebody losing their mother, but it's a very opposite feeling of, that feeling compared to, let's say, really the most traumatic thing that happened to them in the past year was this scandal. Let's save that for last. And it's going to piss some people off that we're bringing it back up, that we're not addressing it, that we're not doing enough. So I think it is a strategic decision, to end this season on a positive note. But like we've said a million times before, we really don't have to talk about it anymore. Just a missed opportunity, I think. And yeah, I think honestly, it kind of, and I just can't think of another way to say this, but cheapens the authenticity of the show, because they really are deliberately picking and choosing what they want to talk about, what they don't want to talk about. It's a reality show. It's supposed to be about the reality of their life. But
mhm.
it is what it is. I mean, I know we still have one more episode, but overall thoughts so far on this season?
I will say this season for me, it was like I don't wanna over I know I've kind of, like, come down on it a bunch. I didn't not enjoy watching it, but in terms of, like, I feel like this season for me was more something that I'm gonna throw on in the background. I'm gonna clean my apartment, I'm gonna do my laundry, I'm gonna feed my cat, and I'm gonna cook. Like, I don't feel
Yeah.
like there was any moment where I went and stopped everything, sat down at my couch, jaw open, like it's been
Mhm.
in the past, And I
Mhm.
love the fact that the girls are executive producers. I think that's awesome because they have a right to be able to see what the heck is going out there. I feel like they've earned their stripes because they've done reality TV for so long. But on the other end of
Mhm.
things too, it is a double-edged sword because they have the ability to pick and choose exactly what's going to go out there. And in the spirit of reality TV, that doesn't necessarily always make for the best reality TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
overall, I've enjoyed it. Will I go back and necessarily like rewatch it like I have like with other seasons of their show, whether it's this or Keeping Up? Probably not. I don't think that this is going to be the season that I go and rewatch for fun. I don't think. But what about you?
Yeah. I mean, at least I watched it. I didn't watch season
Right.
2, so so going
Progress.
forward, I mean, season 1 was banging. I loved season
Mhm.
1. That was definitely, they started really, really strong. But then, last season I just got so bored and I could not get back into it. This season has had moments, good moments, interactive moments. I feel like, they are addressing some things that the audience wants them to. So, it's somewhere in the middle of the road for me. Like you said, it's more of background noise at this point. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, we do love the Kardashian family, no matter how many opinions we have about them, about their show. And you guys, before you sign off, let us know your opinions about this season, about this episode. What do you think? We love to hear from you guys. So feel free to drop a thought, an opinion, a comment in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you never miss out on any of our channels. As always, I'm your host, Morgan, joined today by Hannah, and we will see you all back here next time on Shared News. Have a good day.